Hi, welcome to ML Buchman's 5 Insider Factoids, answers to questions that came from readers. So, thank you. Um, Today we're going to talk about Miranda Chase number 2, Thunderbolt. Warning, this includes spoilers. So, first I wanted to talk about the computer tech. This is, I spent years in IT. I was never a hacker. Um, I wasn't that good. I met people who were, though. But I wanted to I don't tend to write good villains. I'm too much of a mush, is what I'm told. So building a villain was one of the challenges I had in this series, and it's one that I set for myself. And Clarissa Reese is you never know if she's the villain or not. If she's the head of the aspiring to be the head of the CIA, um, the, the head of the country at this point. But the hacker was fun taking that element of my past and turning it into the person on the attack. And that let me bring in the two CIA hackers to counter the hacker and Jeremy getting in the middle of this because of his background. And basically, I created a computer war between these people going on in all the background of this. And this second book was meant to highlight Jeremy's past and the challenges he had and that he had to confront in order to move forward and grow in this book. So that was one of the things I set up that was one of the reasons I wrote the book. Now, the new simulators they've got, I spend some time on this in the book. Uh, Way back in the early 80s, mid 80s, um, there was the first decent flight simulator game. And it's the reason I don't play any computer games at all, ever. Because I got Chuck Yeager's flight simulator and put it in the computer, and it was 34 hours later. I got to the point where I could take the SR-71 Blackbird spy plane, fly it up to 100,000 feet, dive it over, and pass through the hangar on the ground at Mach 3 through the hangar without ripping off the wings. I got stuck in that loop of trying to get it right. And I got so close and I got so close and I finally did it. And then I got so I could repeat it. And when I could repeat it 10 times in 34 hours, I don't think I went to the bathroom. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I didn't even feed the cats. It was that bad. I was all the way down in this game. And my bladder hurt so bad I actually had to crawl to the bathroom to, yeah. Fed the cats, slept 14 hours, got up, and I deleted every game off my computer, even even Minesweeper, the Solitaire, all those basics. I just wiped everything, and I've done that with every computer I've gotten since. It's the only thing that saves me. I do not online game because I just for something about my brain just makes that really addictive. But Flight Simulator has continued to advance a lot since then. And so now I've thought about it because I write about these aircraft and I try to get realism in my writing. I could buy a flight simulator and buy the different aircraft modules and see how they behave and see what the characteristics of flight are and look at the cockpit console and how it spins out. And I can't go there. I just can't go there. Um, so I'm aware of Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't mess with it. But what they discovered was it's a little hidden, but the Air Force and Navy, and maybe the Army, use these flight simulators, use Microsoft Flight Simulator military version, which we don't see, to train their pilots. One of the problems with training a pilot is flight time is insanely expensive. Um, a cheap plane like an A-10 Thunderbolt costs I forget, it's something like 6,000 an hour to operate. The F-35 Lightning II costs something like 35,000 per hour to operate. And that includes cost of the plane, wear and tear, maintenance personnel, how much they have to, but these are, and the fuel it burns, uh, and paying the pilot. And so it really adds up. So what they do is uh, pilots are spending less and less time in the aircraft and more in simulators. And there have been a ton of research on what are the shortcomings of that process and of doing it that way. Uh, but the simulators that the Air Force uses are these full wraparound. So the pilot is seeing, not only do they have the cockpit actually there, but so they're not looking at projections of dials. They actually have a setup of the cockpit in front of them and a cyclic and a collective sitting in a seat. But they aren't these range and motion simulators much either. They're sitting in a chair on a floor, wrapped in an image that shows them everything they could possibly see out the windows of that aircraft from their position. And if it's a two-seat aircraft, it's got the two seats or front and back. So they're spending more and more time in these flight simulators and then going out and running, which has the advantage also if you screw up and crash, you're not killing yourself or busting a jet. Um, but uh, then they go out and they have very little time needed, they've learned, to actually adapt those skills into the jet. So, okay, you have to add in the G-force effects and so on, but the jet experience is getting closer and closer to the simulator experience. And other countries that don't have this level of technology, that flight time is going down anyway because it costs so much. And so there are pilots who are getting 20 hours a year, military pilots, who, unless there's a war going on, are getting 20 to 25 hours a year of flight time. That's an hour or two a month to stay current on an extremely complex aircraft. So it's a whole interesting world that I spent a lot of time unraveling. Research has kind of become my gaming. Instead of doing the addictive game thing, I go in and I research endlessly to learn this stuff. One of the jokes on uh, the gaming is, or on deleting the games, is when I moved in with my wife and her daughter, because she was a single mom. At one point, her daughter came over and wanted to play a game on my computer and went, "Where's Solitaire? Where's Minesweeper? Where's?" It's like, no, I had to explain. No, it's all been purged. It will never be on my machines. Uh, she thought that was very odd. Very odd. She was pretty small at the time. So the A10 Thunderbolt, which this book is about, is it's a really intriguing aircraft for a number of different reasons. When it first came about, it was very specific. It was for ground support. So you have a team that's in trouble on the ground, and the A-10 Thunderbolt comes in very fast, very low, with a big gun, set of bombs, and because they're so close, they very accurately target, even with dumb bombs, before they got in all the guidance systems and so on. And with the machine gun, uh, that's basically the core of the plane, is this huge Gatling gun. It's like a third of the mass of the plane. It's just a monster. And it they were in so close and so fast that they could really target exactly where they needed to support the ground forces. Now move forward 30 plus years, and it's still the same aircraft. It's still subsonic when the jets who might attack it coming out of the air are 1.5 to Mach 2. so far supersonic. Um, Missiles are coming up, and part of the defense on the A-10 was the basically they're sitting in a titanium bathtub. The pilot is, so they're wrapped in this reinforced bathtub around them. Well, when somebody's shooting back at you with a rifle, that's fine. When somebody's shooting back at you with RPGs or MANPADS, man portable air defense systems, um, basically shoulder-mounted missiles, the A-10 doesn't. It just doesn't stand much of a chance. However, the people on the ground love them because it was, especially the older troops, where they'd had their butt saved so many times by the A-10s. Now, the Air Force has, and this I talk about, I'm kind of a fan of the A-10, even despite its age. The Air Force's solution was, let's take our most expensive jet, the F-35 Lightning. It's $100 million jet, incredibly expensive to run per hour, and let's send it in the same role, except it's supersonic, and it was never quite designed for that role. It's designed to do everything at once. It's designed to do air-to-air fighting. It's designed to do air-to-ship. It's designed to do air-to-ground was sort of an afterthought. So they're trying to, instead of redesigning and rethinking and replacing the A-10, they're saying, let's replace it with this insanely expensive aircraft that was never quite meant to do this. And so the troops on the ground keep, and the ones who were on the ground in the past and are now the generals making the decisions in the Pentagon, we're going, no, we want the A-10. And um, the uproar is such that they got Congress to go, no, we want the A-10. And the people at the top are going, but these things are so old and so in danger that we need to get them out of the force. So it was a fun plane to write about, and um, the new roles of the new aircraft that are trying to step in and fill the the niche. So Jeremy, who's at the center of this story, he has a very guilty past, and he's such a sweetheart. He's such an innocent in so many ways, brilliant, but he's not autistic like Miranda, but he's got some of so many shortcomings in that uh, realm. I mean, he's brilliant about aircraft, and he's kind of a young puppy dog, young soul about everything else. So he has this guilty past where he stepped to the edge of being a hacker, but he never finished it. And so his present actions, are we who we continue to beat ourselves up about? Or do we judge ourselves about who we are now? And that's one of the things I wanted to look at. I'm always back playing all these stupid old tapes of things I did when I was young and stupid or naive or something. I don't judge myself enough by who I am now and what I'm doing now. And so I liked having there's a moment where Holly and Jeremy are talking about this conundrum in the midst of the crisis. And Holly says, did you do it? And what did you do since? And I love that practicality that Holly shows to Jeremy when he needs to hear it most. And that's actually one of my favorite moments in this entire book. Now, Japan plays a pretty minor role in this story, but they're a fascinating country militarily. And that has developed even in the 3 to 4 years since I wrote this originally. I'm recording this in 2024. They their constitution that we left them with after World War II said you may not do anything offensive for military. You can only do defensive military. Well, they're sitting facing Russia, who's attacked them before, China, who they've been at war with since the beginning of time. And with Taiwan sitting right there, and North Korea firing test missiles over their land, and it's just, they're right on the verge of this horrible mess. So what they've done is they've basically developed not quite super aircraft carriers like ours, but ones that are helicopter carriers. So like the Pelelilu, which I've used in a number of the books and mentioned in other videos, they have the jets that can land, or the helicopters that can land on the carriers. So they're smaller carriers that can have a helicopter. But for them to remove the helicopters and put the jets in place is a very simple, very fast task. So they've looked at, if we're attacked, how fast can we respond? And that's one of the key pieces of their way of thinking. Pull the helicopters, put on the jets. They've got the jets parked on land, but they're carrier capable. So the jets can be loaded aboard with the weapons, and they're ready. So I wanted to tuck that piece of world politics into this whole melange of what happens in the background and who's fighting who and so on, because it's part of our reality that is part of their reality, definitely, but that makes up our world and lets us see and wonder about some of the tensions that are going on and possible scenarios of what might happen, which is one of the things I love about the Miranda books. I love the geopolitical stance that lets me look at the world and think about, what if? Oh my God. And, bring that thought to the fore so that we can be better world citizens and understand that better. Anyway, those are the 5 questions I've answered. Please visit my website at mlbuchman.com. There's bonus scenes, stories, recipes, maps. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.